President George W. Bush is doing today his very first visit as president out of the nation, and in fact he's in a neighboring nation, Mexico, Leon, Mexico to be particular. We're keeping track of what the president is doing there. One of the issues he's discussing with President Fox, immigration. We'll talk about that in a moment. Don't go away. Among the topics to be discussed today between President Bush and President Fox in Mexico, immigration. And we've listed some of the primary immigration issues on the screen. Let's take a look at them. Create more legal temporary jobs in the U.S., legalize more Mexicans, crack down on smuggling migrants, reduce the number of migrants killed while crossing the border. Joining me now from Washington, D.C. to discuss that, Raul Izaguirre, who is president of the National Council of La Raza. Thank you for being with us. We appreciate it.
My pleasure.
That last one, there have been an increasing number of deaths along the U.S.-Mexican border there. People dying trying to cross. What's the solution?
The solution is a more humane treatment of immigrants into this country. The solution is education. We need to inform people who are trying to cross the border that this is a very dangerous situation, and overall the final solution is to increase jobs in Mexico so that people don't have to come to the United States to find work.
Are you confident that this president hears what you're saying?
President Bush, I think, understands that dynamic very clearly, and certainly President Fox has been very clear on and is very compatible, has views very compatible with ours.
There are many groups out there who are demanding stricter immigration laws. In fact, we're going to talk to one in just a moment. What do you say about that?
Well, we already have very strict immigration laws. The United States has a kind of schizophrenic attitude towards immigrants. We're an immigrant society. We benefit enormously from immigrants coming into this country. They've been the backbone of the economy, particularly in recent times. Mexico educates them, provides them health care, provides them nourishment, and then they spend their productive years helping the American economy. So on the one hand, we want immigrants. We're very satisfied when they're here. On the other hand, we seem to have a notion that these people are a cause of some of our problems.
Well, Mr. Izaguirre, what about the issue number one that they're going to be talking about today on immigration, and that is create more temporary jobs here in the United States for Mexicans who can come across and work. But that's not going to satisfy them, is it?
No, and it would cause some other problems. I mean, the devil's in the details. We think that we ought to consider adjusting some status for those people who, there's a million or so folks who have equity, who are not deportable, whose status needs to be adjudicated, who are already in this country. That needs to be part of the agenda. We also need to look at whether or not an amnesty program makes sense in these times. A new one, that we had one in '86. Maybe it's time to look at it again, or to change what's called changing the registry date. So there are a number of solutions on the table, but I want to make one thing clear. We would be very opposed to another bracero program. That's a guest worker program,
right,
which only exacerbates the problem, only institutionalizes a very bad situation.
And Senator Phil Gramm of Texas is pushing for something like that. Mr. Izaguirre, I'm afraid we're going to have to leave that for another discussion. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
The other side, maybe not. Let's turn now to Dan Stein, who is the Executive Director of the Federation for American Immigration Reform. Mr. Stein, thanks very much. Would you like to respond to anything Mr. Izaguirre had to say?
I just think it's important from a broader perspective. I think we all are encouraged that the new president here is going to visit President Fox. Mexico should be a high priority. And while we have to give Mr. Fox a honeymoon period, I don't think Mr. President Bush can turn around and just give President Fox everything he wants in terms of sending more people here or giving a mass amnesty or a big guest worker program. This country lacks, our country lacks the ability to administer a guest worker program that's enforceable, that isn't just going to become another gateway for illegal immigration. We were told that NAFTA, the new trade agreement, was going to stop illegal immigration. We were told that employer sanctions in 1986 was going to stop illegal immigration. We've had this litany of broken promises, and now to be told that all we can do now is accept a couple of million more people over the, and ratify and accept the idea that the 7-8 million here illegally should just be given green cards. It just makes a mockery of our sovereignty and the principle of mutual respect that's got to undergird our relations with Mexico in the future. You know, Greg, if Mr. President Fox really wants to build his country, Instead of trying to send more people out of the country to work, you ought to be encouraging people who've been working here in the U.S. illegally, who have good experience working in construction and the trades, to come back and help build Mexico's future.
Well, you want a one-year moratorium, as I understand it. This is your organization. You want a one-year moratorium on all immigration, with some exceptions for spouses, minor kids, and a limited number of refugees. Critics say that is an extreme position.
Well, that isn't exactly what we want, but look, I'm 45 years
old. Well, correct
old.
me if I'm wrong on that.
I can't eat the same diet I ate when I was 20. We can't have immigration levels like we did, you know, in 1910, in 2000 and beyond. What we need is enforceable laws. Illegal immigration happens because this country says it doesn't want illegal immigration, but it doesn't want to raise wages for Americans with a high school degree. American men in the labor market have seen their real wages. American men who have a high school degree have seen their real wages go down 30% since 1973. Illegal immigration is a major reason why. People are hurt by the system of illegal immigration, by guest worker programs, and it's simply not fair to just expect this country to continue to absorb unlimited
Stein,
Mexican immigrants.
what did I have wrong about your proposal for a moratorium? Because I got it directly, word for word, from your website.
Oh, no, what we have said is there are about 10 million people in immigration backlogs, people who want to bring relatives. The only way we're ever going to bring the numbers back down to a reasonable level of 300,000 a year or so is to have a timeout or moratorium on new applications coming in for family preference visas. Otherwise, all we're going to do is continue increasing immigration. Our Census Bureau is now saying we're going to go from 280 to 500 million people by 2100. Where, you know, you got a spot on airlines. I mean, where are you going? Where are we going to put all these folks? So unless we take a breather or a timeout, we're never going to regain control of our borders.
Dan Stein, President, Executive Director, I should say, of the Federation for American Immigration Reform. Thank you for taking the time. We appreciate it.